Hey there, it's Christy here at My Artful Adventures, and today we're going to walk through how to put together this creative journal, and it's called I Am Thankful. So it's a lot of fun, and we're going to walk through and do that, and so you might get ready to do that. I would suggest that you not cut everything apart until you find out what goes with what, but we'll walk through that, and that's an easy thing to do. You're going to need some scissors to do your cutting. If you've got some kind of a cutting board, that's your paper trimmer, that's a great thing too, or just scissors. Something to score with. You could maybe even just fold with your fingers. Most of the things are going to be fairly easy, but having some kind of a scoring tool is going to be even more helpful. You need adhesive, but today I'm going to be actually using some glue stick, liquid glue, and also some two-sided tape today. So I've got an assortment of things. You use what you have and make it work for you. I like to have a ruler on hand. Sometimes it's helpful for actually folding some of the things that we have scored. You'll want to have a hole punch for your tags, and and something to burnish with, which could be a bone folder or maybe even just the side, the handle of your scissors or something like that. So you don't need a whole lot of tools, and we are going to just dive right in and have some fun today. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing yours when you're done. I hope you'll tag me on social media and let me know, or just send me a picture. I'd love to see yours. Okay, let's get going. Let's get started on this fun little journal. It's called I Am Thankful, and I'm calling it a creative journal. It's not really a junk journal. There's nothing really junky about it. One thing I will say is, as we go through the journal and put it together, as you do it, I want you to be thinking what purpose that you want your journal to serve for you, because if you want to add more pictures to it, you'll want to take that into consideration as you are making your journal. And, or if you're just doing it for fun and you want to add all the goodies that we're doing here, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to walk through here as we go through and show you what you want to do. And we're going to do it step by step. I would highly urge you to perhaps not cut out all the things until we walk through. You can find in the description, you'll be able to see the chapters of this and pick up where you left off. So if you have just a little bit of time that you want to work on putting it together and you need to pick up, just find your spot there in those little chapter settings. It's time stamped, and you can just skip from one place to the other. At the very end of the kit, there are a couple of pages that I've put in. These are papers that are they're patterns that are in the kit, throughout the kit, and I've just given you half sheets of these in case you want to make your own tags or other things that you find useful, and you can make it your own journal, okay? And then if you just really want to cut things out yourself before you get going, and you just really want to be ready to go, you have time to cut but you don't have time to put it together, this is what I would suggest. I would suggest that as you take your things, as you cut them out, you want to, oh, and by the way, do not cut these out. Do not fussy cut these out until you watch what we're going to do with them, because I want you to be able to do the right thing. So that's another reason why sometimes it's good to kind of get a an idea of what's going on before you get everything cut out. But if you're a person that has to get them all cut out, this is what I would suggest that you do. Cut out a page, flip it over, and just go through the kit, and one at a time just take it out and flip it, and put it together like this, upside down, all of them. Now, the way this is, a lot of your little small things are going to be on the back. But, if you've got them cut out and they're not going to, rearrange themselves, you can put them back in the cellophane bag that you took your printed pages out, and just, keep them in order as you cut them out. And then, you'll be good to go. So I think that is a handy way to do it. The little embellishment kit that you have received has a variety of ribbons and things, and the two kinds of organza ribbons are, there's an off-white and then this peachy pink color, and both of those, if you want to use those for the ties on the front, you can. There's also a piece of a long strip of fabric that maybe you want to use for for ties or some of the ribbons. If you want to fray the edges to give it a really fun look, you can do that. So it's just something a little different this time to put in there. And then there's also a piece of Tyvek, which you're going to need to use for the front. And then here's some beads and some bulb pins. And you can just simply, you know, thread some of these beads onto the bulb pins. You can put these on tags. You can do, you know, you can pin them wherever you would like. And then also you might want to think where you would like to use these kind of medium-sized rose gold colored paper fasteners, brads. And, you know, so I just wanted to show you those because you might want to, you know, be thinking about where you want to use those as you move through and build your So our first step is to take these, are going to be the flaps on our front cover, and you want to take these and cut these out. If you go ahead and cut out along these sections here, right along the tabs, that'll be fine. Cut close to those if you want, and then just do a rough cut around here. You don't want to leave too much room because we will want to know where we want to apply adhesive on the back. And so you're going to take those and cut those like that. We're going to go ahead and score these. And, you know, you might want to you can just finger fold these if you want to and score like that. If you've got a table with a, you know, a straight edge on the edge of your table, that works. I'm just going to use this real quick and use my score tool on this particular cutter and just score right along that line right there. I'm going to do that on both of these. And then we're going to cut that next piece of paper that is the pattern paper. We are going to cut that in half. So we're just going to take this about in half anyway, right? So it's 11, what is it? 8.5 by 11. Yeah, so 5.5 inches. I'm just going to cut it right in half. Okay, because we do want a straight line across there. All right. And now let's take it, and I wanted to keep these so I could show you what they were on the page as we go through so that you can find which page that is, right? So we're going to take this, we're going to go ahead and fold these over just like this. And if you want to give them a good score, you can either use a bone folder, you can either take, you know, even the handle of scissors, you know, whatever, just something so you can give it a nice score. Okay, now then, so that we have got a nice strength to this, I've put a piece of Tyvek in here. It's just like from an envelope. I'm going to snip this off just like this. I'm going to put some glue down here. I do not want to put glue right on the score line, okay, because it needs to fold, right? You need it to fold, so don't put it right on the score line, but, you know, off to the side. We do want it to be in here. Put it up close, but just not right on the score. And then we're just going to put this on here and put this on this back side, and then just set that aside a minute to dry. I guess I need to cut this off. And then we'll trim this off right before we continue on. And Tyvek is just kind of, it's like a woven type paper, and coated. It's got a little bit of a coating. So, you know, it was a great thing to use for mailers and different things like that, because you didn't have to worry about it, you know, getting wet if something happened. But it works great for this because it gives it just a little bit more strength in here. And since your front part is going to, you know, be bending and moving, you want to make sure that that part is nice and secure. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim right around the edge where it already was. And on this one too, just on both sides. Doesn't have to be exact, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. We just want it on there to give our little folio some structure. And you guys, I probably say folio and album interchangeably, although I think a little mini album could be a folio, could be a little album, but an album isn't necessarily a folio, right? A folio is just something that's got lots of folds and flaps and kind of some interaction. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to put this right here against our fold line. So let's go ahead and refold this so that we know where that fold is, just so we can see it. And this is kind of a wide tab, and it's going to be sandwiched in. So we're going to put this right here like this. So let's just get some glue, and I tell you what, I don't always recommend using glue stick, but you know, we've got so much territory to cover on some of these pieces. So if you want to kind of put your glue stick kind of in the middle of these things, and then a little bit of like liquid glue or something along the outer edges. Now remember, I can't really see exactly where this is right here, so I'm just going to kind of do like this, you know, to make sure I get a good seal somewhere along there, right? I know, it's kind of a goofy method. All right, and then, you know, maybe just a little bit in here, and then now we know that it's going to cover right here. And again, don't get right up into that. And I want to make sure that I have this the right direction. So that's this way. So if I put it this way, I know it's going to be facing right side up. And always when you're doing things and backing things, make sure that you fold this to make sure you still have a good way that it folds nice, right? Okay, so now we'll just do the other side very quickly. And just get our glue in here, a little bit on the outside edge. Now the other things you're going to be able to do a lot more precisely, right? Some of our other pockets and things, we're going to know where they are. Just a little in here to make sure it stays glued over time, and along our score line. Okay, and then we'll put this one up here and bump it up here, and then we're just going to set these aside for a minute so that those can dry. And again, make sure that is going to do, so it's just going to be a lot easier to cut off the excess. So now what we're going to do is now we'll cut along here, and then we can just kind of cut in here. And I like the way that this comes out along the edge, because as you kind of fussy cut this, you don't have to be exact, because it's going to, you know, there's a lot of room there's a lot of wiggle room in here for cutting that. Okay, so let's set that off to the side and let that dry. And now what you're going to want to do is your next pages that have, we want these 2 pages and this cover. Okay, so those next 3 pages, that's what we're going to use. So this that says cover A, and then part B, it says right here on the bottom, and then this will be that'll also be part of what we use for the cover. Okay, and as I show you what these are, I'm going to flip these to the back so I can keep on track of where we were using this. All right, so now these have score lines across here. We want to score these. So I'm just going to score right, probably kind of on the inside edges of those darker lines, or maybe kind of right down the middle, somewhere along there. Doesn't have to be exact. I've got to get that cutting tool. I've got to get the blade out of the way so I don't cut it. Then just line it up and score. And then we'll do the other one as well on this one. And this is going to make a little gusset in the side, because we've got a lot of stuff that's going to go on in the middle. Now I did not know it when I planned this project for our November the Paper Voyage kit, but this is the same build as what our Moments in Time kit was. So it takes us a little bit of time, but what a fun album, right? Okay, so now we've got this. You don't need to score this one. So this one goes on here. So we're just going to put some adhesive down here. and just cover that up and adhere this one on here. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and start trimming this one. So like I said, you can just trim as, as close to these edges as you want. And it's going to be easy. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so once you have these cut out, if you will cut up to the corner tabs, that's going to make it easier for you to, have a good spot to line them up and make sure that they, match. You might even, pull them across like this and make sure you like where they are. And I think that looks okay. So you're going to take this section and you're going to flip it over and these are going to be adhered just like this. So you can decide where you want those up and down. So to do that and put it right where I want it to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my adhesive on, and I'm just going to do one side at a time. So I can put this here, I can line it up where I want it. I think that looks good. And now I just need to press that down, and again, make sure that you are able to, fold that against that score line, that you've got plenty of room there. So we're going to put this one on. And so what I like to do is I like to take this one and line it up there. I want to make sure that my house lines up. And so I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to pull this over against it and make sure the top and bottom of this are lined up. These, the front cover is lined up, and just kind of hold it all there in place together. Make sure that your door's lined up and all that good stuff. And I think I'm a little bit off. I'm going to move it down just a little bit because I do want my door to look right. And now I've got this off. This is all cattywampus. You know what? Let me put this here. Let me line that up. And now maybe I can slide it back in here. Give it a little slide. Just takes a little bit of finagling. Okay. Once I've got that exactly where I want it, I might have to bring it back over here and add a little bit more glue. My glue kind of got dry before it was exactly where I wanted it. So you just want to make sure that if you're using a glue that has a little bit more open time, which is it just has a little more time that you can work with it, be sure that you have, that you let that grab before you move on. Okay, there we go. So now we're gonna, if you want to put, something to tie it with close, you don't have to, but if you want to, kind of look here. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open this back up, and I think I want my ties to go along here, kind of between the window and the door. So I'm gonna put a piece of double-sided tape here. I'm gonna put that on both sides. You could put glue if you've got, some Fabri-Tac or something to where you don't have to wait too long for it to dry. Or, you've got a little bit of time. Something that's going to hold our ribbon. That's what I'm trying to say. Didn't have anything to do with how long it takes, right? So now I'm going to pull the backing off here. And sometimes if you use the edge of your scissors, can kind of pull that off more easily. I did have a little pair of tweezers that had come with this double-sided tape, and I can remember thinking, oh yeah, like that's gonna work, and surprisingly it did work really well. So now we're going to put this, oop, I got it the wrong way, put it where your long tail is coming out this way. Put this in here, get that on there. I'm gonna grab the other one and slide that in here. Okay. Okay, now then we're going to take these two pieces that I told you we needed, and now we're going to glue those right along here on the front and the back. And you're going to see they're going to be farther. They're going to extend over these two score lines, and that's okay. We'll just flip it over and rescore from the other side so that we can, get some marks along here and know where that needs to go. So again, this might be a good time for you to use your glue stick. This is a lot of stuff to, get glued down. So this is a great time to do that. And then go ahead and just, put your liquid glue around the edge. And you know what? If you want to if you're just using some double-sided tape or something, that's going to make this project go pretty quick too. Not everything has to, last forever, right? And sometimes we just have to work with things and make sure we can get them done in the time we have. And then it's always nice if you've got something to kind of burnish it down. It helps spread the glue out. Okay, now we're going to have to give that some time to dry. So let's make sure that that is kind of dry before we go back in to score from this other side. But we can go ahead and work on another couple of things while we're waiting for that. And by the way, when you've got these scraps like this, go ahead and save these because you might want to, use them for something else. You could, use them for some little tags or whatever you want to do. So be sure you save scraps like that. So when these have dried a little better, turn it over and then just re-score these, because all you're wanting to do is make sure that you can see those on the inside so you know where to fold those papers, okay? So just, give it a press like that. Just give it a good score and do that on this section and this section as well. Now I can see where these are, and one of the things that I like to do sometimes is to take a ruler, and you can't go clear to the score line. It needs to be bumped over just a little bit, but now I can have something to kind of press against that and get it to fold where it needs to on that score line. And that's just a handy way to be able to get those where they need to bend. So now we've got this little gusset area. So this is what this will look like on the outside. And then we'll do that on both sides. Now we're going to take these two pages that say Waterfall, and you're going to cut those out and then score right here along between the solid color and the pattern right there. There are a couple of these that did not get an angle cut on the pattern. Go ahead and take those. It looks like number 2 and number 7 aren't angle cut, so just go ahead and trim those off a tiny bit like that. It'll just keep them from showing out the side as you put them in. So that's a quick, easy fix. So these are all numbered. You can see they're all numbered. So we're going to start with number 1. And we're going to put them on this left inside section right here. So I'm just going to put them here, and you can kind of put them, in the center between the outer edge and this first score mark. So I'm just going to put my glue right along here and put it down just a little ways from the top and kind of center it between the outer edge and that first score line. And then just make sure it's kind of straight up there at the top, and then you're going to take number 2 and put that down. Now the way that the designer created these was for them to not be staggered clear down here, but about halfway down between the crease and the bottom of that tab. And what you want to do is make sure that you have this lined up. That's why it's good to try and use a little bit of liquid glue so you have time to maneuver that into place. And so you just keep going down, and again just put it about halfway down, Close them down. If you close them and keep making sure that you've got them lined up, you'll be good. So just each one of those, and just continue all the way down till you've got all 7 of them down. So by lining them up like that and just staggering them a little bit, you reduce a little bit of of that bulk through there. And then once you get all of these all the way down, then you can take your bone folder or something and just really give them a good press, and they will take a little bit, it'll really flatten them out so they'll lay down nicely. So, you know, these are going to just keep going down farther. And we'll keep doing it. So as you can see, that brings us right down here. If you have, you know, got them to where your last one is kind of low, just trim it down there on the bottom. You'll be fine. It won't make any difference. You just want to make sure that they're not hanging clear off of the page, right? So if you'll just give it a nice burnish, you'll get them to lay flatter. And the longer that your book stays closed, the flatter that those are going to lay as well. Our next pages we're going to use are this inside cover, and then we're actually going to skip this one, skip both of these for now. Okay, we're going to set those aside. Take out these that are these long strips. So you want this big square and then these 4 long strips like this. Okay, so those are the ones you want next. And by the way, any of these long strips that have the little things like this, just keep those. You can move those off to the side and kind of cut those last, because then you'll have the rest of your structure all in place, and then you can fussy cut those and use those towards the end of, you know, your assembly. Okay, so now you're going to take these long strips, score the little flap right here, and then take them and bring the edge to the score, and then just, you know, finger press it. So on each one of those, just do that. I'm so sorry, I'm so croaky, you guys. So just score along here and then flip it over, your long part, fold it up here, give it a press. Do that on each one of them. And then go ahead, and once you've done that, go ahead and glue these closed. Okay. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Those aren't going to go anywhere. They're just going to be our little flip-flaps in there. So I think I'll just use this for now. I might actually, you know what I should have done is I should have used a bit of glue along, especially this part. Well, why not just do the other side too, right? Give it a good press. I wonder if I can open this one up still. I'll just give this one a little glue along the edge there. Okay, so each one of those. And now, after you've got those all closed up, we're going to attach these to that, to the big square right here. We're going to put those on there. So if you want to use some double-sided tape, okay, so here's the deal. These 2 pieces are going to have, because these have a print that is up and down, you're going to have to put these this way. This one, one of these is going to have adhesive on this dark side for it to close the right direction. Okay, so this one, it's okay if this one is on the inside. All the rest of them will work fine to have the adhesive on the white part of the flap. Okay, and so you're just going to line them up here, just kind of, you know, center it. But like I said, always make sure, oh, and I wish I wouldn't have done that, you guys, if you'll put, even if you put double-sided tape, if you put just a little bit of glue, you can make sure, and you know what, I want to put a little bit of glue on that edge that is close to the score line. And then just line that up and make sure it folds. And by having that little bit of liquid glue, you'll help assure that it can slide into place. So that is just kind of a helpful tip. And now, kind of the easy way to do this is to line this up here and make sure I have this in the right place here. I'll just line that up. That way they can match. Because who doesn't want their flaps matching, right? Matching flip-flaps. And these are the kinds of things, as you know, why we call this a folio, is because it's got all these little parts that flap in and out. Okay, so now one of these goes on the bottom, kind of here at the center. And even if it's not exactly in the center, if you use this method and put the other one directly across from it and line it up, close it, and then line it up, you know, they'll be the same, and nobody's gonna pay any attention to it. Nobody will give it a second thought as to how closely lined up it is, right? So, and I can put this here. And it's a little bit off, so I'm just gonna bump it over. Okay, there we go. I like that. So now all of these can, you know, flip-flop over each other. And, you know, and I forgot to say, if you want to do inking, be sure and do your inking as you go along, right? So this is going to sit in here, but we have another step before we lay that into the center. So now I want you to get these two pieces. We're going to take these two pieces. So cut these out, and then we're going to score along here and here. So this is going to have another gusseted area. So this one has been scored along here and here. Just going to give that a little fold. So see, we've got another little gusseted area. Now, you're going to take this, and again, just fold it over this way and bring it all the way to this second score line. The score line that is right on your tab, and just give it a gentle press and make sure that it's lining up there, and that's fine. It's going to be right on that line, so you just want to make sure that you've got that where you want it. And then I'll just do that. So we're going to do that on both of these. Again, bring it to the score line at the edge of the tab. But make sure that that will, again, you still want to make sure that that's going to close right. So if it's not, just push that paper back so that it lays right. And this one's a little bit off. So again, we want to push it back, just maneuver that paper so it lays down flat. And then go ahead and glue this down. You just want to glue this down. And remember, this is all the way over. Now, I am not going to... I don't want to put glue, and I almost forgot. I don't want to put glue along these score lines. Put it to the side of them, okay? And so on this one, I'm just going to put it kind of down the center because it'll squish out and it'll be right where I need it. And again, still make sure that that'll press down right. And then when that has a chance to dry, you're going to go back over this again and score from the outside again so that you can, you know where those scores are in there. And then we're just going to do both of those. So really, I only need to rescore this inner line. That's the only one that I really need to rescore so that it can bend, because you still have this one where the flap is. So that's the only one that needs to be rescored. Now, if you've got any of this that is coming off of the edge, like right here, I've got a little bit of white part. You can either trim that up, you can ink it. Inking covers a multitude of things that are, like this. But maybe you don't want to do any inking, and that's perfectly fine. There's all kinds of ways to craft. Some people like that distressed look and like to do a lot of inking. Some people don't like that at all. So, you know, it's a very personal decision for your crafting, whether you want to do that or not. Okay. Okay, so now we can just, okay, now this is where, again, using that ruler method can really be handy. And a lot of times it can even be helpful to put it along the side and, you know, bend it the opposite way, because then for sure you know where this score line is. And then take it and do it on the other side. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to see. So that can be helpful for making those like that, because this has got a lot of paper right here, because you've run this paper all the way in through there, but then you're not seeing the back of that white paper. So you just want to, you know, rescore this and turn it the other way. And you have to be careful. You don't want to score it too deep from this side, because then you might, you know, actually go through your paper. So you don't want to do that either. And you can take your time and just make sure that, you know, you're happy with how that is. So I'm just going to bend that so it's, you know, kind of straight. I might want to make it a little bit more. Now we're going to take this, and these are going to go on the back of this section here. So these get glued right here. So those tabs. So you've already got these 4 tabs on here, and then this is just going to be on here, just like this. Now, if you wanted to put some ties on here to close this section up, you would put those right in through here, because then we've got some other little little pockets and things that can go on here, and it would cover up your, let's say we were going to put it right here, and it would go across here. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to leave it, because it's going to stay pretty, you know, pretty flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get some tape on here. This just helps kind of get it in place easy, and then, you know, we'll do just like those other tabs and add a little glue on it so we can see. Oh, actually it needs to go on this side, you guys. Put it on this side. Well, the other side's gonna have to eventually be glued down too, so that's not a problem. Not a problem. So it's always funny when you're putting this stuff together and you've got all these directions these papers are going, and you gotta remember which goes where, right? Okay, so let's see, this one is on, this is on this side, so let's put our glue along here, get some on there. Okay, so it goes right here, so this one goes right here, and it's pretty much lined up your tabs, but again, make sure that it's going to fold. Okay, so make sure that this part folds all the way over, or it doesn't have to go all the way. Okay, give it a good press. And this one, again, we've got to do the inside here. And I want to just give it a quick close and make sure it's centered. Okay. Now what you want to do, I'm going to let that set for a minute, because then we're going to take all this, glue this on, and glue it right in the center back here. those all off of here and get our glue on. I'm going to go ahead and I can see that this is kind of lifting up here, so I'm going to put a little glue under there. And then as we press all of this down, you get a good seal. And just come, you know, to the edge of those as well, because you want this to stick onto that center section. All right. And you just want it to go pretty much right in the middle. The top and bottom should line up, and then you've got about 1/4 of an inch, maybe about 3/8 on each side. And so when you do like that, just go ahead and get it opened up once you lay it in there, and then you can give it a good press. Oops, I can see my top is not, I got it too low. Okay, I think that's okay. And if you've got any boo-boos, just, you know, get out your ink and your tool and give it some ink there, right? Okay, so there we go. So that's that section. So now these panels here that look kind of like the waterfall cards, but you can tell that the direction is, you know, going up and down because of the print on these. These are meant to be kind of a little journaling booklet. And so go ahead and cut those 4 pieces out. Okay, the way that these are designed, I think they create a lot of bulk for the little booklet. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm not going to use these as tabs to fold under. What I want to do with these is cut about 1/4 of an inch off of each one of these. So on that tab, I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch off. So basically about half of this colored tab, okay? So if you want to just cut about half, you know, that's fine. I would think that you would want to, and this is just on these plaid pieces. Leave the other one alone. And we're going to score that one. And it's going to go over the outside. So this is what I want you to do on these. I want you to take these, and we're going to stack these up. And so what I want you to do is, excuse me, now go back in and score them at about 3/8 of an inch. So it's going to be inside that section. And I know it's not on here. If you want to just kind of do it a little bit in, you know, that'll work too. You just want to have a little bit, even about 1/4 of an inch will help, okay? So I'm just going to do 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 of an inch gives it a nice amount. So that's like the line in between the 1/2 and the 1/4, right? So I'm going to do that on all of those. Almost forgot where I was measuring. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then on the other one with the print, don't do anything with it yet. I want to make sure that this fits right. And I got nasty glue stuff on my fingers. Okay. I'm going to score this one about 3/8 of an inch too and see what that gives us. We want it to have a little bit of a cover edge, and it's going to have a little bit of this line showing on the outside, but that's okay. It'll kind of look like a little bit of a book binding, right? So we're just going to fold that over like this. So those get folded. Fold these out towards yourself, okay? So fold these this direction. We're going rogue with the design, people. And the reason I'm doing this is to create less bulk on this. So now we're going to take these and flatten them back out and glue each one of them to the one, you know, we're going to glue them together. So just put this back one down here, put some glue along here. Stack this one up on it. And just kind of, you know, line them up so they're all even. And then do this one. And put this one down. Whoops! Did you see that slide around there? It just slid right through there. Okay, and now this one we're going to fold back, fold it to the outside, and then we're going to slide these in here. And just make sure that your outer cover covers it up, okay? And that, man, that's about perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue on the tab right here, and then put this section up to that score line and fold it over. Okay, so now it's still a little journaling booklet, but it doesn't have nearly the amount of bulk to it. And then these pages will fold each of them right there on that score line, okay, just like that. So now you've still got a sweet little thing, and we are going to these are meant to be you know, like on one of these. I'm just going to go ahead and glue it right here. I think that'll work because I'm right-handed, and so, you know, that would be an easy place. And, you know, I think most people are. If you think that would be in the way, I mean, there's nothing that says you can't put it over here on this one. You know, I mean, my goodness, you could put it in on any of these, actually. This would be kind of cute here too, right? Anywhere you want to put it. But I do think right here, you're not going to have to mess with it folding the other way. So I think I'm just going to do that. So you can either glue this whole thing down, or let me see, let me think about this a second. If we put this down here, let's just glue this part that is got this little bluish tint to it, okay? Just do that on the little tab. Just use it as kind of a little tab and just put it right there. And there we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it to the edge. Just like that. And give it a good thing. And so now we've got that cute little booklet there. So all the pages flip, and even the last one will fold up. And you could, you know, write on the back of it. If you wanted to move it in a little bit, I could have moved it in a tiny bit. But that's already glued, and it already grabbed on there. So I think I'm just going to leave that. Now then, the rest of these, like this, all of these are kind of little side tuck pockets, and you can put those on any of the flaps that you want to. And we're going to put this, I think we can put this in the center, and then it's got a little card on there. So these two go on the back, and then we've got some pockets left here that will go on the sides. Okay, so go ahead and, you know, you can begin to cut those things out, and we will work on just attaching those wherever you want to. These two pieces go on the back, so I'm going to attach those, and we just put glue along the outer edge and the bottom, and same here, outer edge and the bottom. So now I've got those attached, and so then you've just got these big pockets right here that you can use on the back. On this very center part here, I'm going to put this large pocket right down here at the bottom, and then just so that this one is, you know, just inside, just down low enough that that pocket can, you know, be tucked in there. So let's see, let's put this one first. So I would grab a pencil and just make a little mark. I'm just going to mark right here, so I know this little corner goes down there, and then I'll remember that. And so just I'm going to glue the sides and the bottom of that pocket. Just like that. Now I've got my little mark there, so I remember where it goes. Get that there, and then just put the next one just all the way at the bottom. So just the sides and the bottom of your paper. Okay, so now I've got two pockets right there. Now you've got 4 sets of these double double pockets. They are staggered. You've got 4 sets of those. Now, one of them is a little bit wider. This one is a little bit wider, and this one is meant to go on the inside cover. So we can put it, so you've got your, on this front cover, we put our Waterfall, and we can put this one right there. So the way you do that is you're just, and if you hold the part that you don't want glue on, that's a good way to remember, you know, the section that you don't want glue on, because your fingers are right there, right? So we're just going to put this right here. Put that down. Put this one on top of it. And then your other pockets can go, you want 2 of them to go on the inside flaps of the little turkey flaps right here. So you want 2 of those to go there. So here's one of those. So here's those. So you want one here and one there. So whichever 2 you want. Actually, I think I'm going to use both of these because they both have that same structure on there. So when you open it up, you know, that's kind of even. So same thing, just do the pockets the same way, just on your three edges, and get those glued down. And the third one you can put on one of the flaps. And if you want to make sure that you have room in case you have something in here that you want to you know, that you want it to be a little bit looser, just squeeze ever so slightly, squeeze it together a little bit, and it will open that up. And if you forget to do that, once you're done, just take like a bone folder or something and just stick that down in there, and that will help give it a little bit of looseness as well, because it just manipulates those paper fibers just enough to open it up a tiny smidgen, so you can get something else in there. But by not gluing this completely to the back, then you can see we have made a pocket out of that too. You could, you know, completely close it up and glue it to the back, but by this method, then you are able to have that other little pocket behind it. And here's a little envelope. And so you just want to fold on each of these lines. Just like that. So each of those is just a score line. And so you want to fold in the sides. And because this goes up high enough to meet there, it's safe to go ahead and put your little bit of glue. Oh, now it's clogged. You can put your glue right along the edge of those. Sometimes the flap doesn't come up high enough, and when you do this, you've got a problem. So always when you do this for an envelope, make sure that you know how far that is coming up there. Also, another thing is when you are doing an envelope, make sure that, you know, it's popped up and you have not glued that down against the back, because then you don't have a little pocket envelope, right? And then you can take your little Velcro, and these are self-adhesive, so all you want to do is take the backing off of one, peel off that little thing, put it on here, give it a good press, pull the backing off the other side, and now just fold it over and press it like that. And then you've got, and it sticks right away. And then these little cards fit right in there. So these are these sweet little cards that fit right into this little envelope. And you can either take the envelope and, you know, stick it in one of the pockets somewhere. If you, you know, when you're doing the side tucks or whatever. I'm just going to put it on here. I think it looks cute like that. So I'm just going to, but what I'm going to do is I'm only going to glue 3 sides, because then guess what? All of a sudden you've made yourself another little pocket there. And you might want to put something in there, because I can stick something right in there. Okay. So there we go. So now you've got all these other things that can go on all of the other places on the flaps, anywhere you want. And these are like little journal things. You could, little journal spots, you could put that on something. And Again, if you just want to glue the outside edges, then you've also made another little, pocket too. So that's always a fun thing. And all of these just become, little side tuck pockets. You can put them wherever you want on here. Look how cute that is. So all of those. And so I'm just going to, start adhering those. Then you've got all the tags. You can use your ribbons that are included. And also, if you want to, even if you wanted to use this for a tuck spot, and or maybe I could have put, I didn't even think about it, before gluing these down, you could put some of your little paper fasteners, those little rose gold things. Those would be cute to decorate. So, just keep those out so you can remember that you've got them, and you can use them however that you would like. These little cards like this, you just want to fold them in half, like that. And then it says, I am thankful for, and it's got a place to write on the back. And you can either, punch a hole in these if you want and string some ribbon through them, or, whatever you want. If you want to leave them to where you can still open them, you could do that too. But I'm going to string some ribbon through those. Okay, are you ready for the big reveal? Ta-da! Here we go. We've got our little tie here with our little cute flappy things. And I don't know, I kind of wish I would have gone ahead and put ties on this, because I've got it so full. It is so chock full, you guys. Look how fun this is. There's this little envelope. Now, remember, there were quite a few little cutouts to use. You can use those to decorate however you want to. So I put one on the flap of the envelope. There's our little, I think there's 4 little cards in there you could use. Here's one of the things that came in your kit, the little bulb pins. I've got some little seed beads on there. Now, some of those went on easier than others. I used a little bit of trim here and made a little tiny bow and just attached it here. You can do whatever you want with those, right? Anything fun. And let's see, what else was I going to show ya? And then here are the cards. You just fold those in half. And those are like that. I used, somewhere I had another pocket that I only used one, and this was longer, and I cut about 1.5 inches off of it and put it on this front panel. Oh, I think it was right here. It was designed to be like a two-step pocket, but I put one on this flap and then cut about 1.5 inches off to use on there. So just all kinds of little fun tuck places everywhere. I used a couple of the little brads and put in here. This is raised up on some little pop foam dots, because by the time you have the little legs of the brads down there, you needed something a little bit, heavier on there. I just put these 2 pieces. I'm not going to attach them. I'm just going to put them in here. That makes a perfect spot for, some other journaling things. And then this was another whole pocket back here, you guys. So all kinds of fun things. So let's see. Here's another thing. You can take some of these and, poke a hole in it right here. Then it kind of is a little paper dangle thing once you tie your things on. This was that fabric, and I just cut strips, and that's kind of frayed. So kind of a fun shabby chic thing. And this was one of the little tabs, and I just glued this on the end. And this, I put another strip of that tiny, or that fabric. I just cut a thin strip of it and just gathered it on this little bulb pin. So, just a something, right? So I thought I would show you that. I'm trying to think if I did anything else out of the norm. Don't know. I can't think of anything else. And then there's plenty of these little things. And a person could write something on there, things that they were thankful for on the back. But just a lot of fun. So many little places to flip, flap, tuck, just all the fun stuff. So you guys, I hope you enjoy making yours, and I'd love to see it. Tag me in it when you put it online somewhere. I'd love to see it. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.